Welcome, everyone, to the April 4th, 2022 Board of Aldermen meeting. Would everybody please join with me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Alderman Plufka.
Here.
Alderwoman Tice.
Here.
Alderwoman Sims.
Here.
Alderman Weggie.
Here.
Alderman Gould.
Here.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Here.
Alderwoman O'Neill. Alderman Shelton.
Here.
All members are present.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Any changes? Any objection to approving the same by, yes, Alderman Plufka.
Is 9F still Resolution 1352? I would ask that that be removed from the consent agenda.
Second.
Well, we can,
Did you want to make that put that under new business?
we can put it under new business as 11D, I guess.
Second again.
Well, and also, are we leaving resolutions 1350, 51, and 53 under the consent? I thought we were removing those.
I can make that motion now or when we get to the consent agenda.
Okay, that's fine. We'll wait to the consent
Oh, I
agenda.
thought, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
know I
you
could wait till
well,
then.
I don't think it really much matters how we handle that. That's fine.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, why don't we wait to the consent agenda to do that, Alderman Plufka?
That's fine.
So, any objection to approving the agenda by acclamation? Seeing none, it will be so approved. Thank you. Under item 4, announcements, appointments, proclamations, and recognitions, we have a couple things, but they all relate to one person. It's our special guest in attendance tonight, and that is Alex Cavallini. First, for those of you who don't know, Alex is a Brentwood resident, and she is agreed to show up tonight for the purpose of us making a proclamation recognizing her achievements and also presenting her with the key to the city. First, tonight I have the distinct privilege to honor two-time Olympian and Brentwood resident Alex Cavallini. While some of this may be repeated in the proclamation, I feel it's important to give everyone some background on Alex. Alex began her hockey career at the age of 6. Alex became the first woman ever to be drafted into the United States Hockey League, the top junior ice hockey league sanctioned by U.S. Hockey by the Chicago Steel. Alex played 4 years at the University of Wisconsin on the women's ice hockey team, where she won a NCAA championship, led the NCAA in saves, named first-team All-American, graduated from Wisconsin as the all-time leader in wins, minutes played, and saves, was a member of the U18 or under 18 Women's World Championship team, on which she won a gold and silver medal. In the 2008-2009 season, the year they won the gold medal, Alex had the best goals against average, save percentage, and named the tournament's best goaltender. She has played in 8 International Ice Hockey Federation Senior World Championships, including the Olympics, where she won 6 gold and 2 silver medals. She set the single tournament wins record for a goaltender with 5 in 2019. She has played professionally for the Calgary Inferno in the Canada Women's Hockey League, where she won the Clarkson Cup and named CWHL Goaltender of the Year. And she participated for Team USA in 2 Olympics, winning the gold in 2018 against the hated Canadians and winning the silver in 2022, losing to those same hated Canadians. But there's more in the proclamation, so Alex. So people can hear me. Is that going to work? We're good? Okay. In recognition of Alexandra Cavallini, whereas Alexandra Rigsby Cavallini has represented the United States at 2 Olympic Winter Games as a goaltender for the U.S. women's hockey team, earning a gold medal in 2018 and a silver medal in 2022. And whereas as a member of the U.S. women's national team, she has earned a spot on several International Ice Hockey Federation Women's World Championship teams, played in 6 Four Nations Cups, and has represented the U.S. in various other international events. And whereas she helped the Calgary Inferno win the Clarkson Cup and was named Canadian Women's Hockey League goaltender for the year in 2018 and 2019. And whereas she became the first woman ever to be drafted in the United States Hockey League. And whereas she played on a state and regional championship winning team while in high school and helped the University of Wisconsin to a national championship in 2011. And whereas her hometown is Delafield, Wisconsin, and she currently calls Brentwood, Missouri home, now therefore I, David A. Dimmitt, Mayor of the City of Brentwood, Missouri, do hereby declare April 4th, 2022, Alex Cavallini Day in the City of Brentwood and present Alex Cavallini with the key to the City of Brentwood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to just
Yeah.
say a couple things? Yeah.
Wow, thank you. I just want to say thank you to everyone here who has welcomed my husband and I into the city of Brentwood. We've been here for a little over a year and a half now, and since we moved here, we've been fully immersed in this community and felt so welcome. And it's truly something like I haven't felt before being in a city like this, and to be able to be presented with this and is quite the honor. And to be able to train leading up to the last Winter Olympics here in St. Louis was an amazing experience, and I was very lucky to be able to get the ice and the training that I needed to be able to prepare for the 2022 Winter Olympics, and been having the honor of skating to the Brentwood Ice Arena. And so it's a great little facility there, and I'm really excited for the youth and the community here in St. Louis to continue to find their passion in the game of hockey as well. So thank you so much.
Thanks again. Yeah, I was going to. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're going to see you again on Sunday. Is that right?
Yep.
Eric, is Eric? I thought I saw Eric somewhere. You want to come up and let the crowd know just a little bit what's going on Sunday?
So yes, I also like to thank Alex because she has been tremendous to work with and has been very receptive to all my crazy ideas. So I thank you, Alex. And so Sunday we're going to do what we're going to call a meet and greet. So we'll start at 4:30. We'll do some skating. Alex said she'd like to get out on the ice with some of the kids. We got Louis to come, so he'll be there at that time. So that's kind of new. And then at 5:30, Alex will do a quick introduction. Alex will give about a 3-hour-long presentation. About 15 minutes. We'll do some question and answers. Hopefully, we'll get a lot of questions from the youth hockey players. And then she's been gracious enough to say that she'll sign some autographs and take some pictures. So,
fantastic.
once again, Alex, thank you very much for doing that for us. And I believe she also said she'd be the Grand Marshal of the Brentwood Days Parade in September.
All right. Fantastic.
So.
You're going to rue the day moving to Brentwood, you know? There's a reason we're called the City of Warmth, and it's, for things like that. So again, thanks again, Alex. Really do appreciate it. And like I said, feel free to stick around, or you will offend no one if you decide to leave to watch the Blues.
Well, thank you guys.
And that brings us up to item 5, public hearing. And we have let's see here, a text amendment. So I will gavel open the text amendment amending section 400.1400 subsection C, conditional uses of the urban district to include facilities used for animal rescue, shelter, and adoption and related support activities as a conditional use. Anybody in the public care to address the board to speak on that particular issue? Now is the time to do so. Do we have anybody online, Kelly? Okay.
There's no one online.
Okay, so with that, I will gavel close the public hearing and move on to citizen comments. Anybody in the public care to address the Board of Aldermen, now is the time to do so. You'll be given up to 3 minutes. And just for those of you who are new to this, there is a second citizen comment as well section of the meeting. If you don't want to do it now, you can wait till the very end of the meeting to do it. But now is the time to come up and address the board. Like I said, you'll be given up to 3 minutes. If you want to do that, just come up to the podium, state your name and address, and if not, anybody online? Okay, great. Then we'll move on to mayor and alderman reports. First up, I have a few things, a few updates. First, Eager Road cleanup. After working with Charlie Brennan at KMOX, I'm happy to announce that Eager Road was part of the Great St. Louis cleanup over the weekend. Bank of America, Old Town Donuts, the Cardinals, and MoDOT all participated along with 60 volunteers to pick up the trash along Eager Road. In fact, we had so many volunteers that we were able to address the north side of Highway 6440, for old people like me, and that stretch was not in the original plans. Originally, we were just going to take a look at Eager Road, but so many people showed up, MoDOT moved a third of us onto the other side to take care of Richmond Heights property, like we like to do. We like to help others out. We picked up 300 bags of trash. Yeah, that's somewhat disconcerting. It's good, but it's also kind of upsetting that it's great that the volunteers were able to pick up that much trash. It's a little disconcerting that there was that much trash to pick up. Charlie Brennan said that we lost out to his cleanup crew that he was on Purcell Road, where they picked up 325 bags, but I've heard that those bags were not filled as high as ours were. So I think technically we were victorious in picking up the trash. This was a terrific community effort, and I couldn't be more proud of the Brentwood residents who were able to attend and participate in this effort. Number two, MoDOT update. We have quite a few on Manchester Road construction. First, the sidewalks on the south side of Manchester, which is the shared use path, continue to be installed between Hanley and Brentwood. If you drive down that stretch, you'll see them over on the south side, and they're really coming along. We're going to have, again, the space for the tree lawn in between the shared use path and the brand new curbs. It's really going to promote pedestrian traffic. Contractors are also working between Brentwood and High School on the south side to prepare the sidewalk project there. The second shutdown of Manchester, if you remember, we had one, I think it was back in February. That was scheduled for the evening of April 22nd until 5 o'clock of April 25th, I believe has now been canceled. Is that right, Bola? Okay. And that work is still going to be done, but they're going to have it done at the same time that Manchester Road is shut down, so we're not having two periods when it's shut down. The Manchester Road will be reduced to 1 lane each way during the construction of the pedestrian tunnel, which is going to be taking place sometime during the period of May 2nd to the end of August, because starting on May 2nd, the bridge that spans Black Creek is going to be coming down, all 4 lanes, or 5 lanes if you include the turning lane, which means that stretch of Manchester Road will be closed starting May 2nd until the end of August. If you want to get to Manchester Road, you're going to have to do it through from Brentwood Boulevard. So you will still be able to patronize the businesses down on the east side of Manchester Road. You just won't be able to get there from the Hanley side. You'll have to come from the Brentwood side. Brentwood-bound Great Rivers Greenway groundbreaking is set for April 28th at 10:30 at 8740 Manchester Road, which is basically the parking lot behind Arby's restaurant. Join the city of Brentwood and Great Rivers Greenway for a groundbreaking for the Deer Creek Greenway Connector Project. The Deer Creek Greenway Connector Project involves the planning, design, and construction of a connection between the city of Brentwood's Rogers Parkway and the Deer Creek Greenway. The city is partnering with Great Rivers Greenway to connect residents to the surrounding communities with the enhanced greenway. The project is part of the city's Brentwood Bound Plan that also includes the Deer Creek flood mitigation and Manchester Road improvement projects. At the groundbreaking event, Brentwood Mayor David Dimmitt and Great Rivers Greenway CEO Susan Troutman will share updates about the project. Attendees will view the progress taking place on the Brentwood-bound site. This community event will take place at 8740 Manchester Road in the small parking lot area south of Arby's overlooking the Brentwood-bound project site. Attendees may park in any of the parking lots, but please do not park in front of the retail stores. And we'll blast this out on social media and other means as we get closer to April 28th. But if you want to see that and hear what Susan Troutman, who's been instrumental in growing this GRG, I attended a municipal league event last month where she was the featured speaker, and it's truly amazing that amenity that St. Louis has and what GRG has been able to do and try to connect all parts of this great city. Tomorrow is Election Day. Polling places in Brentwood are the school district headquarters and the rec center. But as was started, I think, during COVID, you can vote anywhere at any polling place in St. Louis County. But if you could, get out, exercise your right to vote tomorrow. It'd be greatly appreciated. And finally, the last thing is Alderwoman Sims on Saturday night won the 50-50 raffle at the Mark Twain PTO. And instead of pocketing her winnings, she donated her winnings back to the PTO. Is that correct? Anything for the kids. Yeah. All for the kids. Yeah, thank you. That is it on my reports. Alderman Plufka.
No report.
Alderwoman Tice.
No report.
Alderwoman Sims.
I just wanted to echo the mayor's sentiment on Saturday. It was a great day. It started at 8 a.m. I was really proud of the city that we did have 60 people, and one of the MoDOT workers told me that the work we did in that morning would have taken them 4 days to do. So it was really a great fun day. That's all.
Thank you. Alderman Weggie.
April 14th, we got Public Works at 6 p.m. right here. Thank you.
Alderman Lockmuller.
No report.
Alderman Gould.
No report.
Alderman Shelton.
No report.
And Alderwoman O'Neill. All right, City Administrator report. We have a Brentwood Bound update.
Good evening, Craig Schiller with Navigate Building Solutions. Starting with construction costs, total spent since the last board meeting was $639,746.44. Next category is soft costs, and $19,534.40 was spent on legal fees and design fees. There were no property acquisitions, and there were no changes of additional funds received in the categories below.
Thank you. Any questions for Craig? Okay, thanks, Craig.
Great, thanks.
Moves us down to item 9, the consent agenda. We have 7 items on there, but I know there's a request to move 4 of those, I believe. Alderman Waggy.
Yeah, I would request that item D, E, and G, notwithstanding the other motion, be moved into new business.
Okay, that will so be done. And then we also have a request by,
Yeah, I would make that same request with regard to Resolution F.
Okay.
Or 1352, which is
Okay.
listed as F.
well, then we will move all 4 of those items, resolutions number 1350, 1351, 1352, and 1353 to new business. With that being said, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended, which would be the standing committee reports, the approval of the meeting minutes, and the warrant lists?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka.
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims.
Yes.
Alderman Weggie.
Yes.
Alderman Gould.
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill. Alderman Shelton.
Yes.
Okay,
Carries.
thank you. We have no old business. That brings us to new business. We now have 7 items under new business. The first up is Bill number 6378. Can we get a first reading of Bill 6378 by title only, please?
Bill number 6378, first reading, an ordinance of the city of Brentwood, Missouri, approving amendment to lease with Renatals Incorporated, doing business as Bowser House, authorizing certain other actions in connection therewith and providing for the effective date of this ordinance and containing a severability clause.
Thank you. And who's presenting on this, Bull? Is it Craig or is it Mark?
Mark.
Mark?
Good evening. You may recall that the city of Brentwood purchased this property from Ben's Properties about 18 months ago. and thereafter entered into a year-long lease with Bowser House. They have requested that we extend that lease by 7 months, and after consultation with Craig Schluter Navigate, there's not a pending need to have them out of there before then. So the request is that we extend that lease by 7 months, which will now, if approved, terminate at the end of January 2023.
Okay, do we have any questions for Mark? We would like to have a second read on this tonight. Alderman Plufka,
We'll make a motion that we have a second reading of this bill.
Second.
any discussion on that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, can we get a second read of Bill 6378, please?
Bill number 6378, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance of the City of Brentwood, Missouri, approving amendment to lease with Renatali's Incorporated, doing business as Bowser House, authorizing certain other actions in connection therewith, providing for the effective date of this ordinance, and containing a severability clause.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to perfect Bill number 6378 into ordinance form.
Moved.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to perfect. Any discussion? Alderman Plufka.
Just to confirm what was already said, I think as long as Navigate is okay, that the timing is not being thrown off construction-wise because of this extension, there's no problem for me. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
By a vote of 8-0, Bill 6378 will become ordinance number 5010.
Great, thank you. Next up is Bill number 6379. Can we get a first read by title only, please?
Bill number 6379, first reading, an ordinance adopting and enacting a new code of ordinances of the City of Brentwood, establishing the same, providing for the repeal of certain ordinances not included therein, except as herein expressly provided, providing for the manner of amending such code of ordinances, providing penalty for the violation thereof, and providing when this ordinance shall become effective.
Kevin taking that, or are you taking that, Bola?
This is a housekeeping item. We bring this every year. The city's codifier, which is general code, updates through supplemental 18, and that number changes every year when we do it. What they do is they review state laws that have become adopted and incorporated into the city's municipal code, and that's what you have before you tonight.
Thank you. Any questions? And because this is simply a housekeeping matter, we would like to have a second read on this as well tonight.
I make a motion that we have a second reading of Bill 6379.
Second.
Great, thank you. Any discussion on that motion for a second read? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, can we get a second read of Bill 6379 by title only, please?
Bill number 6379, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance adopting and enacting a new code of ordinances of the City of Brentwood, establishing the same, providing for the repeal of certain ordinances not including therein, except as herein expressly provided, providing for the manner of amending such code of ordinances, providing penalty for the violation thereof, and providing when this ordinance shall become effective.
Great, thank you. And can we get a motion to perfect 6379 into ordinance form?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Alderwoman Sims, seconded by, is it Alderman Shelton over here? Did I hear? Yes. Okay. Any discussion on that motion to perfect?
I
Alderman
have a
Plufka.
question. With regard to Schedule A, the changes that are reflected in Schedule A, do those, will you be able to see subsequently into our code that the genesis of this change was in 2022 or in?
There are notes that are included that would explain that, yes.
Okay, so it is okay. So without it being an annotated version of our municipal code, it'll still be embedded in there? Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion, questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
Okay. By a vote of 8-0, Bill 6378 will become ordinance number 5011.
Great, thank you. And that brings us to the last bill, and that's Bill number 6380. Can we get a first read by title only, please?
Bill number 6380, first reading, an ordinance amending section 400.1400 of the Brentwood City Code relating to conditional uses in the urban development district.
Great, thank you. Whitney, are you presenting on this?
Either me or the applicant.
Oh, the applicant is here, okay. Whitney, why don't you come up and give a quick little synopsis, and then we can, if the applicant wants to say anything, you certainly may. Yeah.
Whitney Kelly on behalf of the city of Brentwood. Good evening. The applicant had prior asked for a text amendment to allow for the use in the UD district as they're currently non-conforming. That was in 2017. They were asking as a permitted use. My understanding at the time, there was concern that that wouldn't give the city enough control over other similar uses in the UD district, and as they did not have plans at that time for expansion or renovation, they didn't feel like it was necessary to do the text amendment at that time. The applicant is now seeking to do an addition onto their building, and therefore need the text amendment to allow for such. And this time they have come through for a conditional use permit. So this would be the first step as that, and then the board would be able to provide certain conditions to meet any concerns with their use.
Okay, thank you. If you would like to come down.
We have a PowerPoint presentation that is, I believe it's included in your packet, so we'll try to shorten it up a little bit because I know you've already seen it, but we do want to hit a few.
Sure.
Recording stopped.
I know.
Recording in progress.
There we go. I think it's working now. I see a black screen. That's always a good sign.
Yeah,
We can go ahead and start. Sure, absolutely.
Okay. It's not. Got some serious feedback.
Good evening. I'm Sarah Javier, the President and CEO of the Animal Protective Association of Missouri, located on Hanley Road. We are an animal adoption center and provide a number of different services to the community. This year we are actually celebrating our 100th birthday. The past 75 years have been in the city of Brentwood, which we are very proud of. We built our building in 1947, and while we've had some minor updates along the way, as you might imagine, animal welfare as well as our needs for the building have changed since 1947. So as a birthday gift to ourselves and from our supporters, we are actually wanting to do some renovations to help better care for the animals, provide better health care to them, as well as increase efficiencies in the customer and employee experience. So that is why we are talking about this evening. I will just keep on talking here, but you can reference your packets for the PowerPoint, I believe. So our mission at the APA is to strengthen the human-animal bond, and we do that in a number of different ways. We have three main pillars. One is pet adoption, which we help over 4,500 animals every year find homes. We also do this through humane education programs that serve participants from age 1 to 101, both at our facility on Hanley as well as in schools and senior living communities. We also do a lot within the community around wellness. On site at the APA, we offer a wellness clinic that is affordable and easy for people to access. If you've tried to get into a vet anytime in the recent times, then you know that it's really hard to get into a vet, and we actually make ours very accessible. So it's sort of a come as you need to. We also do a lot of things in the community, microchipping clinics, vaccine clinics, all things to help promote a healthier community for pets and also make that standard care for pets accessible to those who own pets. We also provide a lot of direct services directly to the Brentwood community. And just to give you a little bit of an update on our impact, this year alone, we've helped 45 stray pets get home. We have many people who, in the community, when they find a pet wandering, they choose to take it to us. And we go to great lengths to make sure that we can reunite pets with their families. We currently have 108 volunteers who live in Brentwood who regularly volunteer at the APA. So when you were talking about your eager cleanup and how great it was to have the 60 volunteers, I wasn't at all surprised because the Brentwood community is very generous with their time and their support. Over the past several years, we've had 1,000 residents adopt from the APA. Many of those people have adopted more than once, so many pets staying right here in the Brentwood community. When people adopt, they also very often leave the APA and go to Brentwood businesses to get all of the supplies they need to help their furry friends settle in at home. We also have many companies who seek out opportunities to volunteer at the APA. We just recently had Paycom, a large payroll corporation, bring a bunch of people into Brentwood, and I know they had lunch here and patronized businesses when they left. So since 1947, we've evolved as an organization, and as I mentioned, we're wanting to do some updates to the building to provide better care to the animals that we serve. Right now, we have one very long building. Our footprint will not expand, but we are wanting to move all of our people resources up to a second story, which is what this text amendment is about, so we can use the entire first floor to provide quality care for pets, including a surgical center, which helps us with spay and neutering. This evening, Whitney was just asking about TNR for feral cats. That's something we do as well. So there's opportunities for us to do even more in the Brentwood community with this increased healthcare. In anticipation of this project, we have already raised several $million to complete the work that needs to be done. And we are ready to proceed. We're just here asking for your help moving it forward. Our location on Hanley is our home. Brentwood is our community, and we're very, very proud of that. Like you, we want our home and our community to be the very best that it can be, and so that's what we are working to do. Thank you. I will turn it over to Tracy, who will talk about the legality things that I help animals and things like that. She does the legal stuff.
So the nice animal person's done and the mean lawyer comes in.
Not at all. She's lovely.
So as Whitney indicated, there does need to be a text amendment in order for the APA to proceed with the renovations that Sarah was talking about. Currently, the APA is a legal non-conforming use. It must be a permitted or conditional use to make the proposed renovations. The language of the draft ordinance is very narrow to cover the current use of the APA. You have that in your packets. The proposed ordinance would modify the conditional use ordinance to allow, it would modify the urban district regulations to allow as a conditional use animal rescue, shelter, and adoption services which provide custodial and veterinary care for domestic animal pets and pet owner resources, support an educational program, but not including any services for farm, exotic, wild, or other animals not normally kept as household pets. This use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. I will comment that back in 2017, the staff report indicated that the APA use, which has been there since the 1940s, was consistent with the comprehensive use or the comprehensive plan at the time. The comprehensive plan has since been changed, and it shows the APA property specifically as public, semi-public use. So it carves out that APA property. This public, semi-public use classification includes uses that provide public services and facilities to Brentwood's residents and businesses. I think that is a recognition of the valuable public service that the APA provides to the community. The use is also consistent with the urban development district, the purpose of which is to encourage the development of multifamily, residential, retail, office, coexisting mixed uses, and light industrial. The use is consistent with the surrounding districts. For example, pet shops, pet sales, food supplies, and veterinarian or animal hospitals are permitted in the Planned Development Overlay District. That's the district that is immediately to the north of the APA's property. Pet boarding facilities, including daycare and overnight boarding for dogs and cats, are conditional uses in the Light Industrial District, which is immediately to the south of the APA property. And the detriment to the APA outweighs the public interest in denying the text amendment. The APA has operated as a pet adoption center at this location since the 1940s, as Sarah mentioned. The building was built to be an animal shelter, so it's uniquely suited for this purpose, and it would allow for improvements to the property that would allow the APA to fully maximize the use of its property. And as mentioned, as Sarah hit on, the APA provides valuable services to city residents, 1,013 adoptions to Brentwood residents. As she mentioned, it brings in customers to Brentwood businesses. It provides programs to Brentwood senior communities. And again, that valuable volunteer support from the Brentwood community. So we respectfully ask that the board approve the ordinance allowing for the text amendment. And also, I'd like to enter into the record the city's comprehensive plan, municipal code sections 400.1400, 400.1370, 400.1380, 400.1390, and I assume the proposed ordinance, which, if you have any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them.
We will take judicial notice of that comprehensive plan. Yeah.
Thank you.
Alderman Plufka.
Thank you. I have a question actually for Whitney. So in the applicant's materials under subsection D on page 4 of the 7 pages, it says that they are contemporaneously with the filing of this application for text amendment, they've submitted an application for conditional use and/or, I suppose, an application for zoning variance. Those are not before us tonight. Just the text amendment is before us tonight?
Correct.
Okay. So can you tell me what the status is of the application for
I'm
conditional
still
use?
reviewing whether or not a variance is needed at this point.
Okay.
But we needed the text amendment to go first in order to review for the CUP.
Okay.
So that would be at the tentatively scheduled for the May meeting, if it does not need the variance first.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure. So summary, text amendment, if the board passes the text amendment, then P and Z, and then possibly a Board
Well,
of
I would have
Adjustment.
to do the variance first.
Got it. Okay.
Because.
Would you still need the variance?
That's what I'm looking into. There's a section in the code that says that the side yard setback has to be 15 feet. They're currently at 5 feet, but then there's an exclusion, and I'm in discussion with our Stephanie Carr, the planning attorney, about the interpretation of that and if this needs that, so.
Thank you.
That's what
Thank you.
Alderman Lockmuller.
It's mentioned that these uses are allowed in some of our other zoning, the light industrial plan development. Why not seek a rezoning of that parcel to one of those designations? Instead of change a text amendment, which would change anything in a UD.
The property was rezoned in 2017 for the Town Place Suites Hotel, and the acreage was needed in order to get the height and for that building at 75 feet, which you have to have, for the UD district, you have to have between 2 and 4 acres, you have to have a maximum building height is 75 feet, and therefore they needed the APA property to make it to, I think, 2.4 acres. So.
So you can't go back and have
I'm-
it rezoned. I think that's ultimately your question, right?
Yeah.
So-
Okay.
And if you don't mind, if I don't.
No,
if
go
I could
ahead.
add,
Yeah.
The city took the position at the time that even though those uses are similar, the pet boarding, those uses were not the same as the use that the APA makes of the property. So the position the city was at the time was, even when it was light industrial, it was a legal non-conforming use.
Yeah. There was, the other uses within the other district do similar activities, but not all at one time or not all together. So this text amendment allows for the APA all together at this location.
Okay. Yeah, Alderwoman Sims.
I'm
I might have missed it in the materials, but I saw in 2017, the application was for a permitted use, and that was a split vote at the P&Z level, and then it failed at the Board of Aldermen.
Yes.
What did P&Z say this time around?
It was a unanimous approval.
Okay.
So.
That's all the questions I had.
Okay. Alderman Gould?
Yes, thank you. I just have a follow-up, actually, to Alderman Lockmuller. So, to be clear, the zoning that's just to the north of their property, if their property were in that zone, they would be a legal status, correct?
No, they would
Okay.
still be non-conforming.
They'd still be non-conforming.
Right.
So regardless of that, they would still need a text amendment to,
Right.
okay.
The PD district allows for veterinary service and pet stores, but not boarding.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
The
So it's-
the light industrial allows boarding, so it's only, with this text amendment, would allow for all the services.
It's a unique grouping
Yeah.
of their offering for this zoning, okay.
Again, if I can, my understanding is what the city has said in the past is that an adoption center, a pet adoption center would not be a permitted use in any or conditional use in any zoning district in the city.
Yes, that's what the prior staff
Additional,
report,
yeah.
yeah, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. All right, and that brings us down to first resolution under new business, which is 1350. And who is presenting? I guess, is that Craig? Are you doing that? Or Eric's walking up?
Okay, Craig up here if we need him.
Okay.
I'm just trying to go quick for the KU game. So this first one is a change order to Jacobs Engineering. The big thing is that we need Jacobs to design a small retaining wall by Bowser House to support a Ameren electric pole that had to be moved because of Brentwood Bound. In addition, we need them for additional construction administrative services as well. The good news is that we are expecting this, so that $85,000 is actually included in the soft costs already. So should not be an increase to the budget at all.
Okay. Any questions for Eric on that? Can we get a motion to approve resolution number 1350, please?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka? Yes. Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
Motion carries by a vote of 8-0.
Great, thank you. Next up is resolution number 1351.
So this is a change order to Hoff Construction, Inc., because when MSD was doing their final site review, they indicated to the city that site utilities cannot run underneath the parking lot, so the permeable parking lot. We had multiple utilities underneath there, so this is a change order to move those. We're moving the gas and water services line south of the parking lot and then into the pavilion, and then Ameren Ewing, AT&T north around the parking lot. So this is the change order to make that happen.
You? Alderman Weggie.
Is that a feature of permeable parking lots that we didn't know or something?
Craig, that one I'm not 100% sure on. I hate to say it's MSD being MSD.
Yeah. So according to the design team, they were not aware this would be an issue because it is a big parking lot. It's all permeable, so water can go down regardless if there's some utilities that go through it. It's just like a narrow channel through this whole parking lot. So the water's gonna go around it all. But MSD took a hard stance even after we really tried to work with them, saying, we're not gonna give you a permit unless you move it out of the parking lot. And that was the end of that, so we had to move it out.
And this change order would be all design as well as all construction changes that because Hoff's doing the construction, right? So.
Yeah, so the design costs, the design team took care of that as part of their contract. These are strictly construction costs, which wraps up this change.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Plufka.
Thanks. Will where the utilities are being moved to, they'll still go under the trail path, right?
Yeah, but I think the issue is the parking lot, not so much the trails.
Okay. Oh, I see, okay. And it'll occupy the one set of utilities, not the gas, but the others will occupy the area between what, the north end of the utility, of the building, the event building, and the south end of the playground?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Can we get a motion to approve resolution number 1351, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Alderman Chilton?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries by a vote of 8-0.
Great, thank you. Next up, I guess, is resolution 1352. Dan, are you presenting on this?
Good evening. This is in regards to the MSD project 11212, and what that means is that's the Bridgeport White Rosaly sewer project. So these sewer improvements are so that the current combined sewer, which takes both sanitary and storm, can be separated into separate sanitary and storm. This project's part of many that MSD is doing, part of their consent decree. So just to give you a little bit of history on it. And then we've talked about this project. I looked up the project file as far back as 2020, but then COVID hit because they were originally scheduled to have an open house on March 26th over at the rec center. So that was scuttled. And then it was brought back again in 2021 whenever they decided to do the project. If you recall, back in January 19th, the board settled an easement. There was permanent and temporary easements that were needed near the post office. And then more recently, in early, or actually late 2021, Fred Luth and Sons was hired by MSD to do the actual construction project. So in attendance is Evan Lechman with Fred Luth, so we can ask him any particular questions. But before that, what I'm trying to explain that we have before you is on March 9th, Evan presented to me an email to discuss a possible access road connection where White Avenue dead ends at, we're talking White Avenue east of Brentwood Boulevard, at that dead end at the east end, connecting it to Swim Club. Then that preliminarily was brought to the March 10th Public Works Committee, but it was just a discussion item under department report. Then more recently, when we had a draft agreement and some additional details, that was presented to Public Safety on March 23rd. And then Public Safety provided a favorable motion to take it to the board, which is where it is today. And in your packet, you'll see the agreement that the city attorney looked at as well. And basically what that'll do is, if you create this connection, it would allow White Avenue to be egress only. So there are construction vehicles that unload rock or pick up spoils, which would be what they dig out to put the, to remove the dirt so that they can put the pipe in. That would be all hauled in the eastward direction. Otherwise, without it, the vehicles have to turn around, multiple attempts to back up and swing around and then go back west, past the Starbucks, and then out at the traffic light at Brentwood Boulevard. So that's kind of where we are. By doing this, again, it will speed up the process, so I won't put words in their mouth, but it would actually reduce the construction time frame by several weeks by doing this particular connection.
What is the timeline?
You want to discuss the timeline? Since they're doing the actual construction, I don't want to misspeak, but they're doing the work right now, if you recall, right outside the office here.
On Rosaly.
City Hall at the northeast corner. They're doing construction on those manholes.
Okay.
And heading north.
Do you want specifically White Avenue, which is the kind of the area in
Yeah,
question?
just
Right-
the one where the proposal is to put connect an outlet.
So right now, we're looking at tentatively 10 weeks of construction time. And unfortunately, there's going to be some give and take in that with inclement weather, underground conditions, things of that nature. But right as of it stands today, we're looking at 10 weeks of active construction.
For White?
For White Avenue.
Okay, and you would want to have that road, White connecting to Swim Club Lane for that entire 10 weeks?
Correct.
Okay. Open up questions. Alderman Weggie.
Who gets to go first? I mean, so I guess I was, just a statement first, I guess I was surprised to hear about this at the coffee with the mayor, that this was on the agenda, because we had talked about it initially at Public Works, just as a temperature check, I think we called it, to see if we were open to developing the plan, so I was surprised to hear that this was coming, so, I was taken by surprise. What happens if we don't make a decision tonight for your project plan?
Basically, what it stands as of right now, we will have to move forward with what we have available for space. And that was, I agree, it kind of has been moving at a quick pace, so we would essentially progress as we normally planned. We would have no turnaround, so we're worried about concerns with congestion, possible property damage, anything that would remove a possibility of the citizens on White being affected at that stage. That's great, but if we don't get an answer, then we will plan to move forward as originally progressed with the dead-end turnaround of vehicles going back towards Brentwood Boulevard.
And when do you anticipate vehicles starting to go down White? I mean, I know there have been a few, but when will they really heavily start going down White?
Right now, we are finishing up the section right behind us in the City Hall area, and I would anticipate in the next 2 weeks, we would probably have multiple crews mobilized back to White Avenue and start the physical excavation of things moving back towards the dead end.
2 weeks. And then, in your opinion, how do you anticipate, so how will most of the trucks, if we don't allow this temporary road, how do you anticipate that they will turn around? Will they go all the way to the end and try and do like a 10-point turn, or will they back up? And try and
Depending
make
on the size, I think particularly the long tractor-trailer style trucks will have to be staged right in the Starbucks area, just with a backup procedure, offload, and then exit back towards Brentwood. Your smaller vehicles, your tandems, things of that nature will probably either have to do the same, or if possible, do a turnaround at the end of White, depending on where we're at in the stage of it.
Okay, thanks. And I have some questions later for some other people.
Sure.
But
Who else? I know we've got a few here. Any other questions? No question. Yeah, Alderman Gould.
So in the proposed temporary road access that you're asking for, would this be something that you would only allow barricades up and construction traffic through when it's needed, and then have it closed off and protected for the pedestrian path and swim club lane when it's not needed?
Not necessarily. Our goal is during construction hours, this would be a secondary or egress for citizens along White as well, just to remove the possibility of them driving near an active construction site, congesting the area. But our goal is, once that is physically done for the day, or we are done for the day, right around the 5 o'clock timeframe, barricade this entrance or path, if you will, to all traffic to prevent any possible accidents, things of that nature, confusion on direction just in general. So it would be open to basically all people on the White Avenue area during construction hours.
And well, how much frequency throughout the day do you anticipate of construction vehicles coming through? Are we talking, first thing in the morning, they drop off materials and go through, or is there a constant
It will be
line of
more of a
traffic?
constant rate depending on how production's going. Just with the spoil removal, it's gonna be all granular backfill in these areas, so you're gonna have multiple trucks delivering rock, aggregate, things of that nature throughout the day. So on a low-end conservative estimate, you could say, if they're moving at a good pace, 10 trucks throughout the course of a day would be coming through this.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Lockmuller.
If you were granted this access, is there any way to hold off this project until the 1st of September?
Negative. We have a deadline with MSD that has to be reached before then. Right now, we're working on some extensions due to the utility relocates, but right now it's about the midsummer timeframe, and then if we do not hit that, we will go into liquidated damages for the project.
Alderman Plufka.
Would it be possible at all? So the temporary roadway, as I understand it, kind of comes off at a southeasterly angle from the dead end on the eastern end of White and extends to Swim Club Lane. That's pretty accurate? And it takes out a part of a fence of the property that's right there, correct?
Correct.
What would be the possibility of constructing, not a road, but giving yourself a little more space to be able to negotiate for the smaller trucks a turnaround, to drive into that space, not to go all the way to Swim Club Lane, obviously, just to go into that space a little bit, but give you a little more room to then back up and turn around on a 3-point basis as opposed to a 10-point basis for some of the smaller trucks that are delivering, and then I'm assuming that the smaller trucks would be delivering and picking up material too, both.
Correct. It is a possibility, possible. I have to look into actually the physical dimensions needed. I understand what you're saying on that one, but it may come into the fact of, is the property owner willing to do such? It could address certain things, but we are up for really all options at this point. We're just trying to find the path of least resistance to make things as smooth as possible for all the residents involved.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Tice.
So I have a safety question, so probably less for you and maybe for some of our, one of our chiefs or both of our chiefs. So and I'll do fire and ambulance. So if the construction's going on, how do you anticipate navigating getting in and out of White? And then what do you think about the safety issues if this is allowed?
Sure.
And the
So,
trucks coming through?
That was the perspective I looked at on this project. Access. Having access on a normal day to the end of White can be troublesome. So that's why I looked favorably at this exit path. Not being stopped at Brentwood and White for trucks turning around there or blocking it with an excavator. So from that perspective alone, just the flow of traffic, I felt like it gave us continual access to those homes, regardless of what type of incident we would respond to.
Do you have concerns about the increased traffic coming out onto Swim Club Lane and in the neighborhood? And
For sure, for sure. That's going to create, we're just moving a problem. I understand that. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have one question for for the Luth representative. You're not suggesting that this extension is necessary to complete your project, right?
No.
Okay. Alderman Plufka.
So let's say the temporary road goes through and the truck finds itself south on Swim Club Lane. How does it get out of there? I mean, what direction does it go?
I think the easiest way at this point, it would either go down to Eulalie or through Mary, or possibly take Rosaly back towards the Hanley, depending on where the next stop is. Or hopefully we'll get to the point where we've had everything open up along Rosaly itself, we can make a direct exit out to South Brentwood Boulevard, depending on the timing of that.
So if this passes, it's possible that we could be just at various times we could be putting trucks farther through that neighborhood and all the way east to Hanley Road.
Possibly. I don't think they would go through that route, but if what needed, yes, possibly it's just.
Thank you.
Alderman Sims.
I think I have more of a safety question. I mean, this seems like kind of a lesser of two evils. I go to that Starbucks frequently, and I notice that it seems to me that several children are always using that White Avenue to cross. There's always the crossing guard there, but that conversely, the kids then use that path to walk to swim club. I mean, maybe Chief, what weighing on balance, what do we think is safer?
You're 100% right. There's a challenge with the Starbucks along, not only with children, but with traffic generally. We all know in the morning in particular how crowded it is there. What time will your trucks start arriving roughly? 7? Yeah, so that Starbucks is going to be an issue. If they can come and go east and get out on the east end, that'll help the Starbucks problem. The other thing that we saw was if we do this, as they go toward Broughton Park, there's always a crowd of people at that park. So one of the things that Dan and the company has talked about is having a spotter that will take the truck out of the neighborhood. In other words, it'll be one of their construction guys that will physically allow the truck access to both swim club and then past the park area as well. So that should mitigate some of the issues of them coming to and from, especially that park. So as far as the police department is concerned for response, quite frankly, we're going to get in and out of there with SUVs. It doesn't matter to us, whether it's closed or not. When we looked at it, our primary concern really was the pedestrian traffic, and particularly kids.
If this didn't go forward, I mean, I'm also thinking of the kids that walk to school. I mean,
Right.
Are they, do you think as a practical matter, I'm imagining these big trucks and these little kids waiting at the stoplight. I mean, that just, can that be safely?
I don't know how you're going to mitigate that, to be honest with you. The kids and the trucks are gonna be there at the same time. Part of it might be an education process for the parents on White Avenue. Maybe they can do something different in terms of getting their kids to the bus stop. I don't know. I don't see how you're gonna get away from, because this is gonna be in May mostly. So you're gonna be in school, and you're gonna have an issue with the kids on foot.
I mean, I would think that it's not just to me, it's not just the kids on White, but, and correct me, I mean, I don't have children, but that, at least I know what I see with my eyes. It seems like that is a popular crossing of Brentwood, and kids come from other street blocks to go over Brentwood at that point.
It is, and I think taking the truck traffic eastbound and leaving it eastbound helps that. If they have to go down to the end of the street, double back, they're gonna visit the area twice instead of once.
So in your opinion, which do you think is the safer route?
Just looking at it from a safety perspective, I think it's better to let them go east, take them out east and let them go. The way it appears, you know, just on the fact that those trucks don't have to do a U-turn and come back through, it cuts your visits in half, which I think is an advantage here.
I also had a question on the amendments that were sent, you know, the red lines that we got this evening. This might be best directed to the city attorney. I mean, I'm looking at paragraph 4, towards the end, where it says, you know, it'll remain in place so long as reasonably necessary to accommodate the sewer construction being done at the address. And the red line is, or until such earlier time as may be determined by the city in its sole judgment. Does that mean that if, you know, let's say we go forward with this east access, that we would be able to unilaterally end it? Oops, sorry. If we found out that it wasn't, you know, working. I mean,
Yes. Yeah, that's the idea. That if we perceive a safety problem, a practical problem, if the frequency of use is problematic, that at any point the city would reserve the right to terminate the use.
Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Gould.
Yeah, I just have one more follow-up on that. I mean, I think what we're dealing with is poor timing with this project, because if it were only happening during school timeframe and not bleeding half while their kids are in school and the other half while we're now in the summer, and we've got a major increased traffic along Swim Club Lane there. And we keep talking about Swim Club Lane, but I think it's really critical to understand that this is a major artery of our trail system that every citizen uses on a 100% daily basis. I mean, whether we're in school or out of school, but especially during the summer, there are going to be, you know, that trail gets used a lot. And so I think had this, I know Alderman Lockmuller mentioned, can it be pushed to after September? I think where we're going with that is if it's all within the school district, our school timeframe, during the day, kids are in school, so we just have to worry about that morning, just making sure navigating, you know, anybody walking to school. But coming and going, there's not a whole lot of traffic along there or pedestrians. And as long as people could be, spotters were there, I think we could mitigate the problems. I'm also concerned that we would leave this open for, and I understand the inconvenience of the residents on White, so I get that it's a problem no matter what. And the work has to be done. MSD, you know, I understand that as well. So we have to find a solution. But wouldn't it be better if we just kept the access completely shut down only for construction vehicles, and then only opened up when a construction vehicle needs to get through and then closed back down? Wouldn't that be a lot safer for everybody involved?
We have no preference on that. We were just trying to make it easier for the citizens involved along White, but if it's something that is strictly a construction vehicle only thing, and that's gonna appease the members here and make it any safety concerns, that's fine with us.
I mean, you know, if packed-in urban density New York City can do major constructions and keep traffic flow and people safe, I got to think that it's not too much to ask to open up a barrier, block the streets, block the pedestrian path to allow for a truck to move through, and then close it all back up so that you can still have safe crossing on at the pedestrian and vehicle traffic on Swim Club. So I expected to see more of a safety plan in place, like with some specificity, in order for me to feel comfortable that, we can do this. I understand the need for moving traffic to the east and not creating a bottleneck, trying to turn around traffic in a very narrow, dead-end street. I totally get that. I just feel like we need more specifics.
Thank you. Alderman Weggie.
Yeah, so if you do have the temporary road, would that change your behavior in terms of blocking the street if you know that those residents are allowed to use that egress?
In terms of active construction, when we're physically in front of somebody's house?
Yeah.
Yes, it would kind of alleviate the possibility of the staging rock at a certain area. If you know you can dump what is needed in that area and be on your way with the trucks, then it limits the amount of footprint we're having in the road, which due to the fact that we know somebody's gonna have to turn around and you're gonna wanna kind of stage the material as you progress down the street itself.
But what about preventing residents from being able to use the road, right? We had that case with the excavator being unloaded a couple weeks ago, and the residents were locked in for, 15, 20 minutes or so, but they were not able to leave.
Correct.
Would that change your construction behavior if they were allowed to use the egress and they had a way to get out and that they would not be waiting on you?
Essentially, yes.
Okay, and then, I'm not gonna ask those because they're not safety related, but, okay, that's it for me right now.
Okay. Anybody else? Alderman O'Neill, if you could, make sure you're, thank you.
Can I double check? At one point you said 10 trucks a day?
Depending on the production rate of how things are going, yes, that would be an average. If we had, say, 5 trucks that were moving material at one given day and 10 trucks bringing back aggregate to backfill in those same locations, I think 10 trucks would be a conservative estimate for a standard production day.
That's fewer than I had thought from when we had our public safety discussion. It sounded as though there would be several every hour, but this sounds as though there might be more in the morning to drop things off and then a lull.
Yes, that is correct, but depending on how the
having-
production goes, I'm sorry.
So when the chief mentioned a spotter, having somebody to go down and check at those hours could be worked out with your company to provide that.
Very much so. When we have any type of vehicle that's exiting onto a rather smaller, it's industry practice to have a spotter just to make sure they navigate correctly and mitigate any problems that they may run into.
That's reassuring. Thank you.
Alderman Shelton, we haven't heard from you.
I have a question. So with the 10 trucks, if you didn't have the access road, and I don't know specifically what size the trucks, but I guess I'm envisioning large kind of tractor trailers, am I right to assume that they would have to back out onto Brentwood to kind of then, because they're not gonna be able to turn around on White?
It would be an interesting coordination with staging them depending on where we're at with it, whether they be back up, back along east on White, and then offload material, and then drive back out along White to Brentwood, or if they're further along where we would have to physically work a turnaround in place. And most of the vehicles we're gonna be seeing are gonna be tandem dump trucks. You can see them everywhere, but it kind of depends on where we're at in the process on White of what direction they would be backing into stage and exiting.
But Brentwood Boulevard would kind of be their swivel point.
Possibly, we would have to look in the spacing restrictions that we need just to see exactly how we work it out on a case-to-case basis, but.
Thank you.
What's a tandem dump truck?
Tandem dump truck is essentially a large dump truck with 2 wheels on either side of it, so 6 axles altogether.
Okay.
Or 6 wheels, 3 axles.
I'm a city boy, sorry. Alderman Lockmuller.
Has the residents on White been notified yet of this project?
The project themselves, yes, but as of the possibility of any temporary access road, no. We were held off on that until anything was approved, so.
Have you heard any feedback from any of the residents on the street?
Yeah, we fielded some calls from residents about concerns, questions, scheduling, things of that nature.
And what were the concerns?
Mainly at this point is kind of access to their house, what the schedule overall is, things of that, and then, the miscellaneous safety concern about what happens here and there, but overall just been more kind of curious on what the overall schedule is towards completion.
Thank you.
Alderman Weggie.
Yeah, just to follow up, Steve, I mean, I have talked to to, at the very least, the one house on the north side that would be most affected down where the temporary road was, and they were very much in favor of this. They were the people that got stuck behind the excavator, actually. I have not been able to get in touch with the renters that live in the house on the south side. Gone by their house a couple times and left them a note, but my understanding from staff is that they have been contacted, because one of my concerns is that they have a dog, and you'd be taking down their fence, and so, do they have a place to run in the back? So it sounds like that's been resolved as well. So they were in favor of the egress as long as they were able to use it, because their concern really is that they're going to get stuck in there. And that kind of leads to my next question for you, Ronnie, is, having the egress, does that improve the safety for the availability of the ambulance to get in there if we need to, in case there is something blocking, just like that case that happened a couple weeks ago?
For sure. The potential we have to use the egress for ingress.
Right.
Access.
I mean, would that be your plan if that was in place, that if a call came in from White, you would?
It's a contingency
you
plan,
would know
absolutely.
how to go?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and then, I guess back to the Duluth representative. If we don't grant this and you are kind of doing turnarounds by the Starbucks, do you anticipate that you would be blocking that alley quite a bit?
Possibly at times, not as a permanent thing throughout the project itself, but yes, there is possible times when we would have to unload certain materials or certain things that there would be a temporary blockage of that alleyway.
And would
Quite
that be normally in the morning when most of those trucks are arriving?
Yes, and depending on whenever various, staging points throughout the day, materials arriving, things of that, yes.
Yeah, my concern with that is that Bridgeport and Brentwood Place, a lot of those residents take the alley down because that's the only light they can take a left on the Brentwood Boulevard with, so that adds to the congestion in that area.
Sure. Sorry, if we don't, you said you wouldn't even start on this project until about 2 weeks from now, pending weather, right? And then from that point, it takes potentially 10 weeks. If we were to postpone a decision on this and then pick it up at the next meeting and maybe go back to Public Works and have a little bit, again, there's a lot of talk about possiblies and I think this, and I just feel like we probably need to take a little bit more a breath here and make sure that we have some of these possibilities defined as this is how we're going to manage it. We have a Public Works meeting next week. I don't see why we couldn't push this and have a more robust discussion at Public Works and then bring this back up to the board. And even if you had to start the project with this unknown, but if we decided, okay, yes, we've mitigated all the concerns and we will allow the egress during your 10-week potential construction, would you still be able to then implement that protocol after 2 weeks have passed from here?
It would be more difficult to do, given that we have not disturbed in the areas and we could get the proper equipment and the size spacing that we need now. Is it impossible? No. It's just.
But it would still be helpful for your project if we decided that, okay, yes, we've made all of we've turned over all the rocks, we've kind of vetted it, we've talked with the residents along White a little bit more. You could still catch up on the project and implement that, even if you got the decision 2 weeks from now.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay.
Alderman O'Neill.
Okay. Can I respectfully disagree with postponing this? I think the sooner we get going, the sooner the safety of the kids who are in school is covered. If the fire department and the police department both think that the egress on this is safer, and we want it to be done as soon as possible so that there are fewer kids out during the day when this comes on. Public safety has already discussed this. I think we've done a lot of discussions now. I'd like to see this move forward at this point.
Well, the chair is open to any motion at this point in time.
I'm going to make a motion to actually postpone this, to table this to the Public Works Committee meeting to work out some of these specific details. Perhaps invite some of the residents who are going to be most affected so we can have this and then bring it back.
Mr. City Attorney, is that a proper motion to table it and send it to Public Works? Okay, so that's your motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we got a motion, Alderman Plufka.
Can I ask a question about the motion? You said to consult with residents. Would that include not necessarily residents of homes, but the folks that enjoy the swim club?
Those
Would
are
they be-
residents as well, yes.
Would they be considered? Okay,
course,
and
they're
and they-
residents.
and they'd be a part of that process?
Absolutely, they should be.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to postpone Resolution 1352 and to send it to Public Works meeting for next week. Any discussion, Alderman Weggie?
So if we get that to Public Works on the 14th, and assuming we're able to work through the details, is there any reason to believe we wouldn't have that back here on the 18th? Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on the motion to table? Okay, all in favor, we can just do a voice vote, right? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes. Aye.
Chair's opinion, the motion does carry, passes by the count of 7-1. So thank you. That brings us on to the last resolution, which is 1353. Is that back to Eric or? Eric? Nope, Dan? All right.
Smart guy.
This is a change order with Ideal. I just have to find my notes here. Okay, so this is change order 3 with Ideal Landscape. There's basically 3 components to the change order. So time and material change 4, that was due to the poor or unsuitable soil that was encountered at the Union Pacific retaining wall 1. So they had to over excavate in order to do these leveling pads. So that was soft soil that they encountered. The other one, change number 5, that was unforeseen concrete removal of piers and foundations. So they weren't called out, but whenever they went to do the 24-inch reinforced concrete sewers, those needed to be removed so you could get the proper flow line. And then the last one is an electric service that needed to be relocated, and that was for power to MSD's diversion structure. So MSD built that diversion structure. Ameren has to do a relocation, and that was something that wasn't captured on the plans, since Ameren had to do the relocations after the plans came out. Some of their relocation drawings are slightly different. So what we're looking at are 3 different changes. The total amount, though, one of them is actually a credit. So when you look at the total, it's $24,830.43. Add that to the original contract sum, and it's $3,765,630.36, which is still below the contingency which we put in when we originally approved the plans and the bid base as well as the alternate. So you've got a contingency of $371,192, and we haven't touched that whole amount. So
Great, thank you. Any questions for Dan?
Move to perfect resolution 1353.
We have a motion to approve resolution, what was it?
1353.
1353. Do we have a second? I'm sorry?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Any discussion on that motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
Motion carries by a vote of 8-0.
Great, thank you. And that brings us down to citizen comments. Once again, if anybody in the public cares to address the board, now is the time to do so. You will be given up to 3 minutes. If you want to, just come up. You don't even have to raise your hand. Just come on down, state your name and address if you would, please.
My name is Megan Harris. I live at 8706 Rosaly Avenue, and I wanted to comment on Resolution 1352, I think it was.
Sure.
I do appreciate all your questions. They're very insightful, helped me think of the project in a different way than I had originally. I did want to voice, I have real serious concerns about putting that roadway onto Swim Club Lane. I live at the corner of Swim Club and Rosaly. I have kids that are going to the swim club all day long. More than my kids, though, I'm concerned about the neighbors that live right at the corner of Rosaly and Swim Club in that big white barn-looking house. They have 4 kids who are outside all the time. And I really just, in my heart, the danger that is going to be presented to those kids, they're really little, they're running around, needs to be taken into consideration. I really did like the idea. I don't remember who it was. Somebody had making a turnaround spot or, putting something there that doesn't exit onto Swim Club, but does give them the opportunity to, turn around more effectively. So thank you for hearing me. I will be sure to be at the Public Works meeting next week. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Megan. Anybody else? Come on down, Lois.
Lois Truman, 8710 Rosaly Avenue. I'm Megan's neighbor, and it is the truth that if you don't frequent Swim Club Lane, once school is out, and it is solid traffic of kids the whole time, coming, going, all sizes, bicycles, strollers, and it is pretty horrific to try to envision what that's going to look like with big dump trucks. I mean, it's bad enough that they're on our regular streets and how we're navigating. And I thought about this past Halloween when we were having the sidewalks installed and we had not available on the south side of Rosalie, and the kids were walking along for trick-or-treating. And I mean, literally one kid, at one point, a car slammed on its brake, and it was just almost, it was horrifying. And to the point that we got out with flashlights and started the best we could to direct, and the police came and did a light. And I'm thinking about, that was just a one-night Halloween, and that's like Swim Club Lane is all summer. So just please consider that.
Thank you, Lois. Anybody else? Carrie.
Hi, Carrie Trostel. Do I have to tell the address? Okay. Just a couple of concerns. I do appreciate that you're tabling it and you're looking at some plans. That is the main thoroughfare for the kids to cross. We do have a crossing guard, but sometimes they're not there. I think that with this increased activity, if you go along with it, I think there needs to be more than just a crossing guard. I think you need to have police representation on top of that during the crossing back and forth. And then you have kids that come after the crossing guard who play sports till 6 or things like that. So I think when you're looking at safety, look at additional support. As well as I think it's a bad idea. I will say I own a snow cone business at the park, and that is where a lot of the kids walk through to get to there. So number one, on a personal level, I think it will affect my business. Number two, I know that Brentwood is a busy street to begin with. Adults are almost hit just on a normal day at that crossing area and other crossing areas. And as a parent, I would not let my kid be on Brentwood Boulevard. And the only thoroughfare that those kids have is Swim Club Lane. Our swim team is going to be starting. That street is packed solid. So that is going to be very congested every Monday for 7 or 8 weeks. So that is also something else to consider. And I do know on White, for some of those people, we have families that don't speak very good English. And so there is a communication barrier there. So I think we really need to talk to some of them, because I've reached out to 2 who never knew anything about this. They don't even understand. I'm trying to explain it to them the best I can in their broken English. So we need to look at that as well to make sure that someone is talking to those people, because that has a very diverse community on White. And so I just hope that you look at every scenario and get a good safety plan in place, whichever way you go.
Thanks, Carrie. Anyone else?
Matt Allers, 9004 Moritz. I sent you all the lovely long email at 9:08 last night. Former president of Brentwood Swim Club. Thanks to Alderman Waggy for getting us information on Saturday about this proposed improvement. My primary concern is the volume of traffic on that street is busy every day with walkers, bikers, whateverers, however they're getting up and down that street before the swim season starts. Swim season multiplies that significantly. We've got 150 kids that are going to be going down that street every day from May 31st until July 12th. That's roughly your swim season for the team. Plus Monday traffic, for swim meets. We got a lot of people. The volume goes way up during this time period. From Labor Day to Memorial Day, hack a hole in that trail and get it done. The timing here doesn't work. Public safety, and really the big thing in addition is this is going to go over the one sidewalk that exists. And that's the problem. There is no sidewalk on the other side of the street. So that means people are in the street. I don't care if they're spotters all the way out to Manchester. And until you can tell me where they're gonna go, it has to be a specific way. Are we, not, if Rosalie is not available, going out Rogers, all the way down Mary, past the Alderman's house, all the way to Manchester, or all the way out Eulalie, that's not gonna work. Thanks.
Thank you, Matt. Anyone else? Okay, we have nobody online either. Kelly, I'm assuming? Okay, thank you. Well, we, once again, we do have a couple of matters to take up in closed session tonight. So if we could get a motion to go into closed session pursuant to RSMO section 610.021 subsections 1 and 2, legal and real estate respectively.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
Motion carries by a vote of 8 to 0.
Great, thank you. We'll take a 5-minute break and reconvene.